intercultural class that I also teach, which is also a great class, although I'm usually more tired for that class because it's 7 in the morning. But yeah, and then you also are the IA for another intercultural class.
Professor Spence.
With Professor Spence at 9 a.m.
Yes.
So.
Yes, well, me and Ms. Kim were in that class together.
Yes.
So shout out to Ms. Kim, one of the best IAs in the business. So thank you guys for having me today.
So they probably know a little bit about you in the 7 a.m. class, but they
Yes.
probably don't know your background here.
Okay.
So if you just want to fill them in briefly, and then you can launch into what you're going to do.
Yes, sir.
But please just give them your full attention. It's a good lecture. I've heard it at 7, and I'm looking forward to hearing it again here at 11.
Thank you. All right, how's everybody doing this morning? Is it still morning? Yeah. How's everybody doing this morning? Everybody's all right? Nice. I'm gonna try to get this projector going.
Just a display view.
Display view?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you. I mean, they're both on. Maybe they take a second to warm up.
Video view, maybe?
This one is the cool fancy touch screen. Oh, I see. Video views on.
There we go.
Thank you.
No problem.
Awesome. Okay. So before we get started, you know what we have to do, guys? We have to go into our settings and turn the display to mirror. It's the most important thing that we're doing right now. Display settings. Bam, bam. Did everybody see that? No. Okay. I got excited. Okay, let's see. Mirror. Display settings. Add display. No. Just mirror it for me. No? Oh man. Okay. So we're gonna have to do.
There's something.
Bam. We'll just move it over here. Okay. All right. There we go. That'll work. Okay. Let's test out some audio, guys. Let's make sure this works, so that you guys can hear it. Are we hearing that? No. Let's see. Controls. Oh, this might be on the computer. I need to bring this HDMI. Okay. All right, and audio. Bam.
Hello, DJ.
Whoa.
Go.
It's loud.
Who you up?
All right. Okay. All right, we're awake now. We're definitely awake. All right. So, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing me to present a lecture today. We're going to be keeping everything in the vein of this class, Intercultural Communications. I am an IA. Really excited to be an IA here at Grand Canyon University. But to tell you guys the truth, the whole reason behind me becoming an IA is because I'm trying to get in here as a professor. So, I was told by a substitute teacher I once had a long time ago that sometimes the best way to go into a place is to go in through an unconventional means. So he told us a story about how when he travels, he always finds kitchen door entrances. And what he meant by that was just how do you get in somewhere as a local person and not as somebody who's a tourist. So he told us these great stories about times that he's gone to places in Asia, in Europe, where instead of taking a commercial flight to a regular place, he'll charter a flight to a very small village or town and take a train into whatever place he wants to go to just so he gets a real experience. So that's pretty much what I'm doing as IA, getting a really well-rounded experience of what it means to be here amongst you great people at the illustrative Grand Canyon University. And my goal is to be teaching in the film department next semester. My background is in film and television production. Outside of Grand Canyon University, I own a small video production company. We've produced 3 feature films since 2018. We're going to take a look at 2 of them. And I have a wife, 2 children. My son is 16 weeks. My daughter is 6 years old. My parents are from Jamaica, and I grew up in Los Angeles, California, a little city called Bellflower, which is right next to Compton. And I went to college in North Carolina. So that's me, that's my whole life story. What we're going to do today is we're going to use media to better understand intercultural relations. So randomly, I'm just going to ask anybody, like this guy in the dark blue shirt, what are intercultural communications?
Basically, what our cultures communicating, figuring out how to remove barriers, like different cultures,
Couldn't have said it better myself. Great job. Does anybody ever use these? That's great. Like, can you imagine a professor talking to the whole class? Would you guys appreciate that or not? Why? Why no? They're talking into a microphone, they're not talking to you. But what if they come from a culture where this is a sign of respect? Then how would you feel? Still might be weirded out by it. So what we just proved is that even though in intercultural communications, some things might be okay for some groups, they still might not be okay for other groups. So that's a great perspective. Because what we can always do to better be able to interact with our friends, our colleagues, and definitely people in the business world, because business is the activity of life. You can't escape it. Business is going to be a part of your life whether you like it or not. It is going to be vital that your intercultural communication skills are that if you don't understand someone's background, you can do the research to figure it out. And if you do, you can then use your understanding to make an educated guess on how to best interact with that person. That's pretty much all we're doing today, guys. But we're doing it through movies. So hopefully by the end of this class today, for the rest of your life, every time you look at a movie, a stage play, a television show, any kind of visual media, you'll be able to think about intercultural communication and why something's funny, why something doesn't make sense, or why something really works. So, we're gonna do something super duper blind. We're gonna watch a scene from a movie that I produced 2 years ago called Not Just Two. I'm not gonna tell you anything about this movie. Nothing. You're just gonna watch 2 random scenes from the movie, and then you're gonna write a review about what you saw. Whether or not you agree with the characters, what character you agree with, whether you think the whole thing is ridiculous. Then, we're gonna do some research on other characters, and we're gonna do a whole 365-degree analysis, and then be able to write a review. What we should be able to do is discover why our reviews are different. All right, guys? So, here we go. This is our first scene. Bless you. Let's find this mouse. Here it is.
Woo! Yeah. I'm so sorry, Zach. Woo! Where are you going? I'm sorry. Zach, it's not Ruth, it's Kitty. What the hell are you talking about? Oh no, we're figuring it out.
PJ. Hello. PJ.
Brother, stop. Go eat what? Go on, man. I can put you on. You know what, it might be easy, guy. You know, hold on, you will say, I'm right there. I bet.
I have no words for you, Zach.
No words? No words. You know what? Can't go however the hell you want.
Hey, Ruth. Hey, Zach. I love you, Zach. I've loved you since the day that I met you. The kindest man that I've ever been with. Zach, you wouldn't like me if you were the person that I used to be. But you taught me what a real friend looks like, what a real man looks like. I messed that up. I get that.
Who told me the information across the case?
I was.
Who the hell are you? Who gave you the right? You think you could just become this murderer and fix a brand new life? You think you could turn a noxious mess into a life of righteousness? Nah. What you thought was God was using you, I bet, huh? Just become a vigilante, help law enforcement, and all goes away, huh?
Just wanted
No. There are still actions and practices in place, Kenny. show that you love something.
Well, if you ever want to talk, my WhatsApp will always be active.
What's that? You know that's encrypted, right? You know, you're real smart. I tell you what we're gonna do. Nah, I tell you what you're gonna do. You got 10 minutes to get the hell up out of here before I call Director Parkinson. Call your dad, whatever. It's nice knowing you.
Alright guys, so that was my guy Jordan Can, acting his butt up, man. That's my guy. So that's Jordan, and that's actually my wife Brianna, who stepped in for us at the last minute when our first main actress was stuck in Los Angeles and couldn't reprise her role. This is actually a sequel. She was working in the laboratory, and due to COVID restrictions, she couldn't leave California or she'd lose her job. So we had to recast at the last minute. It's a whole thing. But based on what you guys just saw, I want you guys to now return to, let me see. I want you guys to now go to your discussions. And when you go to your discussions, there we go. When you go to your discussions, I want you guys to click on guest presentation. And when you click on guest presentation, you guys are going to see something that says forms. It looks like this. I want you to go ahead and click on forms, because that is where we are going to get started. But before we do that, you guys are not going to be able to write that review from here. I need you all to go to imdb.com, or the Internet Movie Database. Go ahead and open it up. And when you open it up, I want you to type in Noxious 2. This is the poster. You can use any kind of Gmail to log in. And once you do that, you are going to leave a review. You're just going to click on reviews and you'll be able to leave a review. So I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes to go to imdb.com, find the movie Noxious 2, and leave a review. There's no right or wrong answer. You can say what I just watched was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Makes no sense. Or you can say, hey, I feel for the young lady. I don't know why the guy treated him that way. Just leave a review based on what you saw, what you thought of the movie. Hey, I only saw 3 minutes of this movie, but I like what I saw. I'd love to watch some more of it in the future. Hey, I saw 3 movies of this movie and I wish I could get it back. Whatever you guys want to say about what you just saw on this movie. All right, guys, I'm going to give you about 4 more minutes to finish. Does anybody need help navigating? Is everybody good? Hey. Awesome. So did you log in IMDb? Have you ever left your account IMDb? You'll most likely have to make an account. This is crazy. Let's go to the top. Okay, click sign in. And then there's a few different options to sign in. You can use your Gmail, you can use your Apple ID. And once you sign in, go ahead and leave a review. Pretty good.
That's a lot. You could put it in thumbs up.
Yeah, that's a pretty good review. I didn't even read that. That came from our last class. I dig it. I dig it. All right, guys, about 3 more minutes. Anybody else having a hard time logging in? Is everybody doing good? And then when you're done, please return to this forum so we can start talking about the intercultural communications as it pertains to African Americans and American business. Cool. Everybody doing all right? About 2 more minutes. Who needs more than 2 more minutes to finish? Yeah? Okay. 2 more minutes. All right, about 1 more minute. All right, is everybody done? Everybody done? Anybody need any more time? No? Awesome. All right, guys. So what we are going over today is the role of intercultural communications in business. And then the sub-headline is African American in American business. So I want to start this class by saying today might be a little uncomfortable for some of you, because we are literally going to be speaking about a particular group that is categorized by ethnicity. So I want you guys to know, as long as you stay respectful, there will be no wrong answers today. A lot of this is going to be conjecture. Something to keep in mind, when it comes to intercultural communications, a lot of the times, there is not a right answer. There can be a wrong answer though, because there can be a wrong approach. But as long as you're taking educated approaches based on research, history, and an open mind to understand a different group, you can truly, for the most part, understand a really good way to be fair and practical when communicating with a group other than that of your own. So, if anybody who's brave enough, let me know whether or not they think the experience of an African American in business in this country of the United States would be different than that of their white counterpart. Okay, we're raising the hands. Are we raising hands to say yes, or do you want to elaborate? Go ahead, young lady.
Well, it definitely is different, you know, and as much as that and very, but yeah, I think we should go get that much respect from like other businesses and stuff. And most of, like I've just seen like people just not shopping there, or like small businesses and just give away over the watch because they're crazy.
I appreciate it. What's your name?
Grace.
Okay, so Grace is saying she has seen a lack of respect towards black business owners. Would that sum up what you're saying, Grace? Awesome. Grace, where are you from?
Oregon.
Where in Oregon?
Portland.
Portland.
Yeah.
Keep Portland weird. Right? That's what you guys say, right?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So are you saying that in Portland you've witnessed that? Or just in other places?
In Portland.
What?
And like downtown. Yeah. There's, yeah.
That's interesting.
Especially.
That is interesting. Does anybody know the history of segregation as it pertains to Oregon and Washington? Not Washington, D.C., but the state of Washington? No? Well, there are a lot of territories in the Pacific Northwest that banned black Americans from living there. And that wasn't eradicated until the early 1900s. So it's very interesting that there's still systemic racism that this young woman has experienced firsthand as an eyewitness in a place like Portland. So that's very interesting. So thank you for being brave enough to share that with us. So guys, let's take a look at some history behind African Americans. And we're going to try to liken that to get a better understanding of what the experience of a black person in corporate America today could be like. So, all of these articles are going to be, well, you know what, I might be lying. You guys aren't going to have access to these articles because I didn't share them with you. I'm so sorry. But for the most part, when you guys did take some notes as we go over these articles. So when you guys are answering questions about the movie that you watch, you can always revert back to it. Okay, guys? So, this says, when did African Americans first begin pursuing entrepreneurship? This comes from the University of Las Vegas. African Americans have a long, rich history of entrepreneurship. Within 2 decades of the abolition of slavery, African Americans established several thousand successful businesses that thrived in exclusively African American communities, i.e. Black Wall Street. Has anyone ever heard of Black Wall Street? All right, young lady, what can you tell us about Black Wall Street? Yes. Nope. I'm glad that you raised your hand. That's awesome. She's heard about it, which is really great. Black Wall Street. Uh-oh, Grace, go ahead.
Sorry. I learned that history.
What'd you learn?
I learned that it was just a slew of black businesses.
Yes.
Doctors, dentists, everything. They just like doing it peacefully. But then I can't remember what group came in, but they just
Burned to the ground. Oh my God. Grace knows some stuff. So guys, Black Wall Street is a term of endearment for a predominantly black populated city or town in the early 1900s in America where a lot of business was being conducted. Tulsa, Oklahoma is probably the most famous Black Wall Street, but you could consider a cultural hub like Harlem in the 1920s and 30s, or the Harlem Renaissance, to be a Black Wall Street. There were many townships in America after antebellum slavery ended in 1865 and after the Reconstruction period, just pretty much from the 1870s to the 1910s, where black people who were educated and skilled. Because remember, after slavery, who's their biggest skilled labor force? Freed slaves, exactly. It's your biggest skilled labor force. What's the only issue with your biggest skilled labor force after slavery? You can't read. But during Reconstruction, African Americans were the fastest growing group to eradicate being illiterate. So, 1920s come, early 1900s, black people figure, hey, there's still a lot of racism in the country, but we've got all this education now, we've got all these skills now, why don't we just hang out together and start our own communities? Sounded like a great idea, and it actually was. The problem is other people. So let's continue, guys. So, the escalation of racial tensions and Jim Crow laws made the businesses vulnerable to tragedy and destruction, with few resources available to black business owners to rebuild if their businesses fell victim. African American business ownership began to steadily decline, beginning in the 1940s. Black business ownership remained stagnant for several decades before resurging again in the early 1980s. While growth has been slow, black business ownership has continued its upward trajectory ever since, despite ongoing challenges of having to continually confront structural and institutional racism. All right, guys, so moving on, we can find the mouse. There it is. Tulsa Race Massacre. So this is what we were just talking about, guys. So, between May 31st and June 1st, 1921, the first bombing of a U.S. town ever happened. That was Tulsa, Oklahoma. The story is, in a neighboring town, a young white woman who was an elevator operator heard a young black guy whistle at her. The powers that be in that town thought that that was very deplorable, so they decided to burn down Tulsa. Does that story add up, guys?
I heard that she accused him of like assaulting her in the elevator.
Exactly. It was never found to be true. So the young man was apprehended by the neighboring town. They put him in jail. People from Tulsa, once they realized that the assault either never happened or never happened as described, decided to go to the jail to get him out. This resulted in a riot where the neighbors of the town decided to come over and, hey, we're going to kill as many people as we can, and we're going to burn the entire town down. This was the first time such a brutal race riot was involved in bombing. The 1906 Atlanta race riot happened before this. So it's not the first time a race riot happened. It just so happens that we're starting to see a trend, and that when black people are banding together, there's always some type of outside influence that wants to destroy it. Okay, so moving forward, this is from childrentrends.org. Culturally, black Americans have long highly valued romantic partnerships, marriage, and children. However, institutional and structural barriers often prevent them from being able to realize these values, particularly for those who have low incomes. Here's where it gets interesting. From 1987 to 2017, the rates of cohabitation among black women ages 19 to 44 increased from 36% to 62%. A rate similar to that seen among women from other racial groups. The percentage of black women ever married, however, is lower than those who have cohabitated at 37%. While there are many explanations for lower levels of marriage among black women, an overwhelming number of theories focus on economics, specifically the earning potential and availability of black men. So this is a statistic that shows us how single-handedly the exclusion of black people in business can have a ripple effect on something as important as families. Because check this out, guys. You have a family, right? And that family lives in a town or a city. And that town or city is in a county. And that county is in a state. And that state is in a country. And that country is in a world. Everything goes down to family. So when something like economics is negatively affecting the ability for a family to start, it's going to have a really bad ripple effect. Right, let's move on to our next article. African American family values. So before slavery was abolished, African American families were torn apart as parents and children were sold to different people and taken to various geographical areas. Instead of bemoaning their fate, many African Americans vowed to find their lost ones. And even before the end of slavery, saved money and made plans to find those they had lost and buy their freedom. The shared treachery of these early families created exceptionally strong emotional bonds that gave them the physical and psychological fortitude to carry on. What does that mean, guys? It means that, for the most part, not discrediting any other group, but for the most part, African Americans are some of the strongest people that you're going to meet because of the ills of systemic racism and literally slavery that has been bestowed upon this group of amazing people that still have to function at a high level in society amongst people who historically have not had to deal with racism in this country. It's an irony that plagues the mind. African Americans are the one group of Americans that are not immigrants. Africa is the one continent where no single country has ever gone to war with the United States. So literally, by default, Black Americans are some of the most patriotic Americans on the planet. However, due to racism and systems of injustice, there's a lot of times Black people can't seem to get ahead in business for matters that we just read about. So now that we have an understanding of statistics and history, let's take a look at a Black character who is in the corporate world, and let's see how he operates. What I want to do is I want us to watch the entire movie. It's only 11 minutes. They're clips from my new film. We're going to pause at the end of each clip, and we're going to get an understanding of what we just saw. Then when we're done, we're going to answer the questions that are on this worksheet. And then you guys are going to end with leaving another review on what you saw. And I want you guys to pay attention so you're better able to leave a review when you have a grasp of information about a group of people. All right, guys? We have one more article to take a look at before we go into that, though. So, code switching. Does anybody here know what code switching is? Yeah? What's code switching? Yes, yes.
Code switching is a thing that happens to mostly younger Black kids who feel like they have to drastically change and react to their own groups of people. Other groups of people do that, but it's not as widely used.
I appreciate your answer. I would say that is very true. Do I have any Spanish speakers in here? Spanish speakers, anybody? All right, sir. Has there ever been an instance where you are in the company of people who don't speak Spanish and a person who does, and you're trying to express yourself the best way you know how because you're comfortable, and you start speaking in Spanish, but the people who don't speak Spanish are offended by it, but you didn't mean anything by it? Yeah? When was the last time something like that happened?
I wouldn't say offended, but they just didn't understand.
They didn't understand why you are going back and forth between
Yeah.
a language and not.
Yeah.
And would you say that the reason you go back and forth is because you're better able to describe something that you're feeling in that moment?
Yeah.
So you're comfortable. Got it. So guys, like, what's your name? David. So like David explained, a lot of times when code switching happens is because somebody is being more of themselves, but it's a very hard line to go down. Code switching also doesn't mean that a person is less intelligent. I want you guys to pay attention to whether or not you're noticing code switching in this movie. All right, let's click on this article.
So I was going to give another example of code switching.
Yes.
So when you're another challenge when you're working in the business environment, especially in my field, which was engineering when I was much younger, I was often the only female. And so I did a lot of code switching so that I could, you have to behave more assertively, which is not so much a female tendency always, or certainly wasn't my tendency, but be more assertive, talk about things that maybe don't interest me as much as other stuff. So I was code switching so that I could have a connection with the executives who were all male.
Right.
And so there's all kinds of code switching that we do.
And that was a survival mechanism because you
Right.
want to succeed in business. And had you not done that, maybe Kim would have been looked like as an outlier or an outsider. And who is this lady? You've been reminding them too much that you're other.
Yeah, and I was blonde, and so I had to work twice as hard to prove I was just as smart as they were. so a lot of things that happens in our American business culture.
Absolutely. Thank you for that example. Guys, we're going to take a look at the greatest display of code switching known to man. Are you guys ready for this? All right, here we go. Bam! Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up, Katie? How you doing, man? How's everything? So, we are looking at the leader of the free world. Shake someone's hand very professionally. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Then KD's there. one time in American history, if we communicated in a way that other people thought was uncomfortable, we could have been killed. Got real dark all of a sudden, didn't it? So, I'm not here to make you guys sad. Just here to paint a picture on how sometimes code switching is even a survival mechanism. All right, guys? So, we took a look at code switching. We took a look at family. We took a look at, and we were very introspective at how and why the experience in corporate America might be different for a black person than it is for the white counterpart. So you guys ready to get to the movie? All right, let's do it, guys.
See you now. I beg your pardon, sir? John Robinson from Chicago. Fought the fascists by joining Ethiopia's Air Force and trained Air Ethiopia's first pilots.
But how did you know that, sir?
I love history. I study people's amazing feats all the time.
But how did you know that this plane represented that for me?
I don't know. You worked your way up to senior engineer. You went from the bus to getting your pilot's license, to flying your boss to work every morning in my Icon 85. You've come a long way.
Thanks for noticing.
All right, guys, so what did we just witness in this scene? What's going on here? The young guy, his name is Solomon. The guy in the suit, that's John Tronick. John Tronick owns a fictional company called Tronic. It's like your Microsoft or your Sony or your Nintendo. That'd be a better explanation. And the Tronic 4K is the latest system. It's their Switch or their Xbox One or the PS5. John Tronick is trying to lure, if you will, this young guy into a senior position in his video game company. We don't know yet why. But what he did do, as it pertains to intercultural communication, was he did a little bit of research on the airplane dangling from the rearview mirror. And he found out that it represents a guy named John Robinson, who's a real-life American hero from Chicago. During World War I, for some odd reason, he was trying to become a pilot in Chicago. And he was not allowed to join the school. He had the money, he just wasn't allowed to join the school. This is before World War I. So you know what he did, guys? He taught himself how to fly an airplane by reading books. He built an airplane. And then he defected. He left America and went to Ethiopia to help them fight in their war. It's a really, really cool story. So, that is a good bit of information, but is it enough to convince somebody to work for you? We're gonna find out, all right, guys? Does anybody have any questions so far? Any comments? No? All right, let's keep going, guys.
As you know, I'm the biggest manufacturer in the world. Tronic sells more consoles games than the second and third biggest competitors combined. You're asking yourself right now why? What's Jerry want with me? Just an independent video game developer who had a micro hit last summer that barely made 10,000 downloads. Right? I'm glad you asked. As you know, last year I had a PR night. We rolled that Fast and Fire for the Tronic 4K and I made some not so hot ones.
Sir, you said the Asians make it, the whites will buy it, and the blacks and Mexicans will love it.
Right. We all make mistakes. That's not the real topic. What the hell, right? The bitch set me up. Anyways, Jerry's doing it real. Turn around, Solomon. Now, look at this. Look at this building, Solomon. Now, it's terrible. It's ugly. It's a building. And it's an ugly building. Just like my ex-wife. Yes! So you think she's ugly too? You're not wired, right? But somebody's gonna buy it. Somebody's driving by right now thinking, damn, that's one ugly building. When they see it in a few weeks, it'll be hooked up in a bow tie. Green grass and no grass. I'm buying this building, so flipping this restaurant. Because everyone loves a turnaround story. It's distracting. Everyone wants to be distracted.
Well, sir, what does this have to do with me?
You were like building consultant. You were going to be my next distraction. I brought you up to the head of development for Fast Lane. All of a sudden, trying to done the impossible. You put a non-Asian minority in a position of power in the video game industry. Fast Lane's another commercial hit, and you leave R&D and start the head development team full-time and running.
Sir, that? Boy, sir, that's good right there. That's amazing, sir.
I know. In exchange, I acquired the logo that you produced last year. All the intellectual property becomes mine, and you make more money per year than you could ever dream of. Oh yeah, something I forgot. My dad used to always say to me, opportunities lost can never be regained. Solomon, am I taking advantage of you? Yes. But we both win. Put this and change your life. Makes you proud to win. That's what this country was built on, winning. And virtually killing hookers, stealing cars, and shooting everything that moves. Not micro-budget video games selling 10,000 downloads. I don't just let anyone with a pilot's license fly my jet, Solomon. This is a grooming process, and you passed.
Alright guys, why do you think Solomon's shaking his head? Or scratching his head? He just got offered an amazing opportunity. Anybody? Anybody want to comment on what they just saw? Yes. Oh, right here in Phoenix. That's Bell and 16th Street. That crossroad is no longer there. We must have graduated in Mount Street. Yeah. But anybody want to comment on what they just saw? What do you guys think you just saw? Anybody? Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, like the guy said, the business, he said he's going to take advantage of it.
I mean, at least he was honest, right? I appreciate that. I can appreciate that. Guys, I'm going to tell you something about communication that's very interesting. What's the word? Non-partisan? When you don't have a political party? I'm non-partisan. So I'm not here to say good, bad, right, or wrong. But something I am going to point out to you is one of the reasons Donald Trump was so loved is because of his honesty. Whether you like the guy or not, he is extremely honest, almost to a fault. That can be a huge resource. Just something to think about. Yes? Yes. That is true. Does anybody know what that means? For your intellectual property to be owned? Okay, let's say, what's your name, young lady? Sarah? I'm sorry, both of you. What's your name? Yes. Summer. Summer and Sarah? All right, give it up for Summer and Sarah, guys. Give it up for Summer and Sarah. Let's say Summer and Sarah have the hottest song in the country this winter. They get Drake and Bad Bunny on their record. It's the biggest song in the country. But Bad Bunny says the only way I'll be on this song is if you give me the intellectual property. That means I own the song forever, and I'll make all the money off of it. Is that a good deal or is that a bad deal? But they'll be famous. Why is it a bad deal? Because why? Because you don't own the rights, exactly. Intellectual property, yes.
This situation is like you don't need development property, not access to the product. That's a great deal if you're an actual developer when you put up the product. I mean, show you put on YouTube and get 10,000 hits is worth that. That's not put on DVD and you get 40 million, it's worth a heck of a lot more. So it's either zero or something, so pick one.
That's a great, what's your name, man? Jonathan makes a great point. Solomon Kennard is giving what seems like a bad deal on the surface, and to a lot of people it is. But at the same time, the access to capital and the ability to distribute products on a huge level, you can't buy that. What a great opportunity. Yeah, I'm making $1 million a year, so what? So it's something to think about, guys. Maybe that's where your own ethics comes into play. So that's something to think about for when the questions come up. All right, guys, great discussion. Let's keep going.
boss, I see you're enjoying the new Tronic goggles. There's something I gotta talk to you about.
What's going on?
I was found some code for the Tronic 4K Pro, and I came across some code that you troublesome.
Spit it out, Solomon.
Ultimately, there's a bug in the system that's selling the data of our non-Caucasian clientele or customers.
Really?
You can actually find the code.
Hold on. Hey, hold on calls for the next 10 minutes.
Listen, I can delete the code right now and get the software off to manufacturing before the update.
Or we don't.
What do you mean?
Some people on the money management side of this company may have other small businesses loosely related to the Tronic 4K. Solomon, look, you can be here all day trying to make sense of this. Don't worry about the code. Just finalize the software and make sure it's bug free so we can have the Tronic 4K Pro to the assembly line next week.
Sir, this isn't a glitch. This is, you're selling our customers data, which is a breach of the contract. This is illegal.
Solomon Kennard, don't forget about our conversation we had the other day about that restaurant. Don't forget that we're making history to move you up in the ranks of this company. Don't forget that you're going to be in business and do more for your family than 5 generations of your ancestors. Don't get ugly and don't get condescending and stay in your lane now. Tell you as a friend to look the other way on this and get the software finalized now.
Really?
I'm dead ass.
Okay, sir.
It's all for the place. A small group in our market share is what we're offering ladies and gentlemen and organized operators from small group in our market share that might be adjustments to the life of this. They're almost an obsolete fraction of our business model. Never forget who you serve. Leave your emotions at home.
As you can see, Mr. Tronic wasn't playing. Mr. Tronic got very serious very fast. All of a sudden, we're no longer grooming. All of a sudden, we're no longer speaking in a very lovely tone. All of a sudden, things got very, very serious when the truth was revealed. So, any other observations of this scene? Anybody want to mention? Anybody? No? All right, let's keep going, guys.
Come on.
Why is my movie back?
Yeah, you guys are kidding. Let me get this. Tronic said you gotta take it. You just need to finish this.
I get that a lot. Salomon, let's make this simple. You are against something big, and I'm supposed to help you to figure it out.
Look, lady, I don't know what you're selling, but whatever it is, I ain't buying. What are you doing?
Marcia and Anton, the name of your mother and sister.
You don't know anything.
I know you want to buy a house on 922 Cedar Street and start an education account for your sister.
Who are you?
I'm never Didi. I'm here for Kevin.
Look, I don't know what to kill you or what else you call cops. But I'm being one of them, so I need to go.
Usually when I come around, it's for those guys like
Guys like what?
people of African descent that have the opportunity to change the climate with a decision.
Mine being what?
Big units.
When my father passed, I promised 2 things. First being that I always take care of my mother and my sister. Second being, never set my people.
Putting you on the crossroad.
Exactly.
All the leader needs noble, but independent is. Keeping your integrity is powerful.
Who are you?
I honor my father and rely on my Usually, I disappear by now. I see my way through now.
Trust me, I know it's.
All right, guys. So, in almost every single movie that you'll ever watch, there's always going to be a character called the fairy godmother character. Ultimately, this is a character that lets the protagonist know that they're at a fork in the road and they have to make a decision, usually imploring them to make the right decision, sometimes not. So that's what you guys just saw. We got a good understanding or backstory on Solomon's character. He is motivated by taking over his family, seeing how his father is no longer alive. So this is going into the understanding of the value of family with African Americans. We understand that he does value money because he wants to buy a home for his mother and he wants to start an educational account for his little sister. But we also do understand that he values his father, who's no longer living enough, to honor his wishes of never selling his people out. Whether that be his family, whether that be in other black people, or whether that be in gamers in the gaming community. These are all different layers of what would be considered his people. So he's definitely at a crossroads. Make a bunch of money or keep going in alone as an independent video game developer. So let's see what happens.
Sign it out. So we finished with more email marketing. Time to find a videographer's again and let those guys find out about you there. I quit. Are you crazy? You're quitting on me?
Listen, Jerry, I don't know how to say this, so I'm gonna put it in the simplest terms possible. Ain't no damn way in hell ever am I working for you.
Solomon Kennard literally cannot think about signing an NDA. See to it that Solomon Kennard does not leave the building. His intellectual property must be restrained by any means.
All right, guys, so all of a sudden, you guys aren't buddies anymore. All of a sudden, now Solomon is just a guy who's got to sign an NDA. So, that is the trajectory, the story of Solomon's character and Mr. J-Tronic in this movie. What we're going to do now is I want everybody to pull this sheet back up, and we're going to start answering these questions. All right, guys? So, let me know when everybody gets back to this page, please. Cool, is everybody there? Everybody's back? Yeah? Okay. All right, guys. So the first question is, did Solomon use code switching? Anybody notice any code switching? Yes, young lady, when?
So, towards the beginning, he had like respect for his boss.
Yes.
Which is nicely and stuff. And then after, when he lost respect for him, they close like listen to the
I'll finish. Exactly. Why do you think that is, that a human code switches when they have lost respect for something or someone? Or also, the inverse of that, when they're very, very comfortable. What is that about? Anybody want to take a stab at it? Anybody? Yes, young lady. Go ahead and take a stab at it. Why do you think that is? No idea? That's fine. What about you? Why do you think people code switch when they're super comfortable or when they start to lose respect for something? Maybe just communicate better. Anybody else? Anybody else? There's no wrong answer. Don't be afraid to say how you feel. Yes. Is it Summer?
Yeah.
Summer.
I feel like the code switching is used as kind of like a defense mechanism. If you're more comfortable, then you're not going to feel the need to change who you are. So you're going to be yourself.
Yes. That's a great point.
Or you just don't respect them anymore. Like you don't care about it.
So you're going to be completely yourself. Has there ever been a time where you guys noticed that you watched somebody code switch or be their absolute comfortable self, but you thought that they were less intelligent? For example, you're in Target, somebody has had a really bad day, they're really frustrated, and they're using a vernacular that, we're not gonna say profanity, because profanity is rude, but let's say they're being very, very comfortable, or very, very lackadaisical in their respect of the target store because of their frustration. Have you ever thought to say, hey, that person's an idiot, or that person's unintelligent, because of the way that they're speaking? The next time that happens, I want you to think to yourself, now remember, there's a difference between being just rude and code switching. But the next time that happens, I want you to pay attention to your perspective or perception of this human, and whether or not you all of a sudden think this person is less intelligent. Because as we saw, Solomon Kennard's a very capable and intelligent guy. He just so happens to start speaking in a way that was comfortable for him, as he did something as bold as quitting from a guy who you could say is even his idol. Sorry guys, after you answer that question, the next question is, Solomon and Tronic have different cultural values in the way they practice business. List 2 cultural business values that Solomon uses and 2 that Tronic uses. We can say a cultural value would be that of acquiring power. So Mr. Tronic was really trying to sell Solomon on power. Do this and have more money than anybody in your family has ever had. A cultural value that Solomon had, he literally said it. My father said, don't sell my people out. He didn't specify what those people are, so we can only assume these are people in the tech community, other gamers, other black people, literally his mom and his sister. So talk to us when you answer that question about what those cultural values are. The next one is, what cultural value does Nefertiti remind Solomon to follow? That's super simple. Just think about the conversation that they had when you guys answer that question. Next, why is independence and entrepreneurship valued so highly by African Americans? What reasons have caused or reinforced this practice? So this is where we think about the history that we went over when class started. All right, guys, think about the Black Wall Streets and what happened to places like this. Then, are ethics a part of intercultural communications? How are they demonstrated in this film? That might be a hard one for some of you guys. And again, intercultural communications is biased at times. It is predicated upon your own experiences. But that's why it's so important to be able to research a group of people, understand their history and customs. So based on what you know about the character of Solomon or Mr. Tronic, are ethics a part of intercultural communications? And how are they demonstrated in this film? Maybe you even want to use a real life example of how ethics played a part in how you communicated with someone from a different group. All right, guys? Lastly, what you're going to do is you're going to click on that hyperlink and you're going to leave another review, but this time for this movie. And when you leave this review, I want you to talk about your viewing experience, what character you related to, and why. And remember, there's no wrong answer. If you thought Mr. Tronic did nothing wrong, if you thought the guy was vindicated in what he was trying to do, even honorable, that's totally fine. I just need you to be able to describe it and try to describe it using what you know so far about intercultural communications. Does anybody need any help? Anybody? No? All right, guys. Let's do this for the next 13 minutes. We're going to do this for the next 13 minutes, and then we'll be wrapping up. All right, guys? We got 4 responses so far. What's happening in the room? You need this happen.
So have you ever seen the shoot filmmakers?
Yes.
I love that. She's a woman. And she's yeah, that's one of my favorite examples of switching the boss comes and says, go.
The restaurant thing.
She just loses it. She lets you out.
everybody doing? Is anybody need any help? Any questions? Anything? Yes, someone. No, 600 characters. A character is a letter. So it doesn't have to be words. So the review on IMDb, guys, don't panic. You don't have to write a thesis, just 600 characters. That's about 4 or 5 sentences. Anybody else? Anybody? No? All right. All right, guys, about 8 more minutes. No, you're going to leave the review on the IMDb page. No, you're just going to leave your username. So you can get your class participation. So just leave your username right here, like which is most likely going to be your email address for IMDb. So how do you log into IMDb? Any questions? Any questions? No? You guys did great. This is a great class. Everybody doing all right? Everything's making sense? Cool. Cool beans. Well, yeah. What do you think? That's so smart. All right, guys, 4 more minutes. Who's done? Who's usually done? Can you raise your hand if you're done? No? Okay. Is 4 minutes good? Can you all finish in 4 minutes, or do you need more than that? No? 4 minutes? All right, cool. Cool beans.
There's a question.
Yes. I'm from Los Angeles. Yes, sir. What about you? Nashville, Tennessee. So do it from Los Angeles and do it from Nashville. Meet for the first time and dap each other up like they've known each other for 20 years. How is that? Fascinating. Culture is fascinating, guys. Culture is fascinating. So why do you guys do this? I want to show you guys one of the greatest code switches ever. Now this person was able to code switch out a masterful level. Didn't mean that this person was a liar. It just means that this person was highly intelligent. So we're going to take a look at somebody who's no longer with us, but was really good at code switching, guys.
Now on to a local rapper whose music is synonymous with the basketball culture. I mean, you can't even go to the Lakers game without hearing a track from Nipsey Hussle. Now Nipsey is giving back to his South LA community by renovating those same dilapidated basketball courts he grew up playing on. Rapper Nipsey Hussle goes back to where it all started.
Right now we on 59th and 3rd Ave. I grew up a couple blocks from here. My grandma been in this area, this community since decades.
Before his music charted. To South LA.
Just one of our uncles.
Only on this day, he's at 59th Street Elementary School.
And rooted this community since day one.
Touring the basketball courts he helped renovate in a partnership with Puma. This is what the courts looked like before.
The backboards was a little ate up, no color on the floor. It was a little red there.
And this is what they looked like after. Nipsey and Puma pumped 10 grand into them.
Obviously the artist was crazy through visuals. And it just brings some color, to a place where all the kids gonna be every day, surrounded by art. I think it's good for the brain, I think it's good for the spirit.
And Nipsey has posted online saying, Crenshaw made me, he'll always be fighting for Crenshaw. The work ain't done yet, the marathon continues.
Marathon continues.
Rather pass some bread.
All right, guys, about 1 more minute. Is that enough time for everybody to be done? Yeah? 1 more minute. Sure.
Out of curiosity, just because I'm curious before we wrap up, how many of you have heard of the Tulsa riot before this? And how many of you have not? Interesting. Okay.
It is very interesting. It's a very interesting piece of history, but it's not a very fun piece of history. So
No.
that's one of the reasons why.
I just think it's interesting to think about what we talk about when we talk about history, what gets covered and what doesn't get covered.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. I think by exposing more young people to that type of thing, the next 50 years,
It'll be interesting.
it'll be interesting.
Right.
I was in high school.
All right, so is everybody pretty much done? All right, guys, so I want to say thank you so much for allowing me to present today. You guys were a great class. Before I leave, I just want to remind you guys, the study of intercultural communications is not about deeming one group of people bad and one group of people good. There's going to be corruption in every single group of people, whether you're a group of people by age, by gender, or by ethnicity, or geographical region. So don't leave today thinking, oh man, certain people are horrible, because ultimately we just use this one microcosm of an example to just show an emphasis on how in the world of business, things can be so different from two groups of people, one being Caucasian, one being African American. All right, guys, so thank you. I'm not going to dismiss you or anything. That's the professor's job, so I just want you to know. I'm not telling you guys to leave, but thank you again for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
And with that, you're dismissed. I'll hang out here though if you have questions.
Make sure you sign roll and bring me the books around and floating around.
part of the article responding to, so you have to, like, the whole assignment is kind of like.
It's coming.
Make sure you guys are voting and talk to like 50 or somebody else. Yes. Sorry. Yes. I'll tell you that next week. But it's just you put it in the yeah. No problem. Yes, it is. Yes. So you can talk about how you do it by eye contact. So it might be related to democracy.
I know exactly that is, because it's scary. So lots of people only think about the Indian guy out there. Only the word right there. I was trying to think about it. We got it, right? Sometimes it's hard to describe anything in like people never like they don't know.
Oh, it'll be all classes are have like some online.
Thank you so much. Great meeting. Yup, there it is. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? There it is. Bro, hey,
Both professors who are not saying
I appreciate you
myself, you just give you an online assignment to do.
Was it
that you can do at any point.
Dave in summer. Hey, how are you?
Say this, log into Zoom.
That was a lot.
Actually attend this class session, not next week.
Okay.
I am out.
Good, I appreciate that. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, that's great. This is like my class. I'm so glad this was a last class and we switched on my
Nice, glad you joined.
on my what's your major? Animation. Oh, okay. I'm actually a freshman, so I'm supposed to be close to really glad because I heard university success.
It only sucks because it takes time away from the classes that you want to be focused on. I think they should have you take it in the summertime and shorten the class. Like, it sucks, but I think it should still be a requirement.
It's just orientation stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
For the
But I
most
still
part,
think
like-
it's helpful. Like, I really do. And I'm a
Right.
junior, so
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, not to not orientation stuff, but I thought it was just like kind of like.
It teaches, like, if you're a basic freshman, like, most students, they don't know, like, how to use APA, they don't know how to, like, make a resume. Last year, it forced me to make, like, a profile for my job, like, literally, so I'm like, in the long run, it's forcing you to do stuff that you would have to do on your own, so.
Sure.
I think it's still good, but. Yeah.
Nice.
Like, I know it's like the school is required to do certain things, but I still think it's a smart.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you for choosing.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is fun. You guys are really interactive.
Thank you, you too.
Being a teacher.
Thank you.
Being a teacher's hard.
Thank you. I bet you're really good at animation. What's your style of animation?
I like stuff characters,
Like, is it 2D or is it like a tablet?
yeah.
Because you can do one of two things. You're not, and then usually those people
I think a lot of
don't say that to be cynical, but
it makes sense.
right. Or you get to become truly maybe something blossom, because like this is
You need either 19 other people's sections or you know.
like it's truly gonna be.
So hopefully I'll teach it again next semester though. I like teaching this class.
Yeah, I think so. So I was thinking when I do institutions, well, I have to go back and look. It's also work to do because Alice might do it.
You want to say what you got?
Oh, I think we're switching email.
Just yeah, I was like, that's the thing, that has a name.
And we'll know you're but it's just cool to see what students actually think of videos.
Okay, yeah.
In a way, hopefully that's anonymous, so it's going to be more honest.
So like black culture is super duper commercialized, so you can tell.
Sure.
I think that's what I saw.
So a lot of times.
Yeah, no, I think it's just cool to get that honest feedback and basic feedback.
Don't realize, you know, folks that you have all kinds of it's just really obvious. Like, so
Yes.
that's
Mostly stuff.
right.
That's why I said it first. Starting from the juice and
Thank you for having me. How'd you like the lecture?
I loved it actually.
Just almost incredible.
That was awesome. Thank
I
you.
agree.
You know, not like
Hopefully see you in the
somebody's
business
blog.
or the business building.
You know, like an
That'd be awesome.
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome. I appreciate you.
Of course, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So part of what we're doing it all is like all our Americans respect for their elders, or like just
Okay.
older and stuff.
Sometimes this
One of my roommates spent some period of time in Japan, but I've been able to cite an interview with her.
when he had his television
Yeah, that'd be fine. Just explain, obviously in the video, like just so we should
and one of these segments on the show
you know,
was
Japan,
called
spent this many years there. And
Have you
you
ever
might even be
seen
able to
it
get
on
some
YouTube?
insight into like
Oh my gosh.
how U.S. culture appeared to somebody who was not from the
Literally
U.S.
is about culture.
Like for that part of the video, you might be able to get some
He's
of
at the
her.
wrong time.
Exactly. Everything's ruined.
Right, so they present it like it's a documentary. They're like, you know, here's Adam. Right, they're like, here's Adam Johnson. He's from the humble beginnings. He's worked his way up the corporate ladder. And one day in the boardroom, he decides to keep it real. Just like somebody said something that was inappropriate. And like he thought it was just like keep it real. And he decides, I'm gonna keep it real. He lets this guy know how he feels.
Nursing homes.
And then like the next segment, he's like, watch him. Thank you. Great having you. So even though Dave Chappelle was like making a joke, like he was
Sure.
I love it. It's so interesting. It's like,
He's like, right, what I got, that segment was, there's a right time and place for everything. You know, sometimes it's not the right time. But like, this guy, someone was like, bro, I swear, I realize I don't like it. Right, he's like, you know what, I never have a right.
And I think they fear Asian.
I was in
Yes, we make that.
Yeah, I really felt like there was what was that just because there was a class?
That was just for class, you only saw 11 minutes of the
Yeah,
whole
like
movie.
so like
Yeah, it's a whole movie. But you know, it's not associated with the college.
But even
It's not a requirement to watch. It's just my personal project that I was sharing. So, yeah.
I didn't notice that a little bit. I used to live outside of Washington DC too, and it's still like, we're pretty. I feel like
Or we're really
yeah, yeah, too. It's still a little too laid back.
a great day.
Thank you. I don't know, there was something about class collaboration, and it was like, throw it away.
Okay.
Something weird about songs to do with.
Sure.
Benefits.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Some of the things
it's like,
we
it's really weird things, and I was just like,
You never know.
yeah.
As long as you're connected to
But
it,
that's
like,
why
just, yeah, be able to communicate culturally.
Be authentic self and learn
Well,
how
that's
to be
the-
your authentic
that's
self
the
and
whole
still
thing
navigate
is
society. Because
The
sometimes
tools are available
some people
across
say, well, you know what, I'm
cultures.
gonna
Right.
be myself.
So
But
it helps you.
keep it real goes
So,
wrong.
yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
authentic.
No, I'm sure you would, yeah, I would just,
Very
yeah.
powerful. But you also just
This
have
is
to
the first thing that popped in my head. But,
to
it was, what topic was that?
You know, but once you're able to navigate, truly being yourself.
Like, was it topic 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
Being the
6, okay, 6,
center of
7.
the society.
Okay, cool.
You're unstoppable, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
That's the goal.
I'll go check because I have to finish what was I.
That sounds right. I just couldn't remember off the top of my head. But I
And
remember
seven
that final
is the
play.
last one.
The last one is, yeah, like religious symbols. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we'll get some of that, like, kind of throughout the semester too, but yeah, that's kind of the dedicated time to do that.
Roll and
Yeah, flashing chains, dollar bills, and Lamborghinis.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah.
I don't know, but I just feel like that was like me.
Sure, that's cool.
That's awesome. With the world that we live in, being self-distributed, self-funded, there's more possible now than it's ever been. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great time to be alive. It's a great time. And I'm saying, start now. Start right now in your dorm room. Even if they're only 10-minute clips and you post them on YouTube every Tuesday. Start building your audience now. So by the time you get out of here in 3.5 years, people are looking for you. Like, yo, what's Dave doing? I can tell you, this is the best time because you've already prepaid for your meals and your light bill and the internet, like, especially if you're living on campus. Yeah, maximize it.
All right, I'll see you later.
I will, I'm trying, I got a thing going on right now.
You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. You're like in the animation. I look forward to seeing your name one day, and then they're like a Pixar movie or something. Like you never know. You never know. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate you.
You said you did 2D animation, right?
Yeah, I do, I was character artist, meaning like, people who do art styles for animation, who draw characters, who take real life, who will draw these characters, not caricatures.
Like the right.
But like, making cartoon characters, like turnarounds and knowing about how to make their colors match and match the other characters, how to make their group look like.
So the
a group
design
and they know
style.
each other.
Sure.
Like how all the Scooby-Doo characters, all the different colors,
Right.
like how she's orange, she's pink, and he's green, they all go together and they look like they're friends, but you can go wrong with that, and they don't really look like each other.
Would you ever do it in like gaming?
Yeah, for sure, you can make a visual novel, it's super easy to make.
I know I've played like some first-person shooter games and stuff like that that have like that are just done by like